Welcome, boys and girls, to History with a Twist. We have some fun people joining us today. There's always Coach Anderson.
Hey guys.
And we have a special visitor today. So we're going to let her introduce herself in just a minute. But before we begin, we have to start with a twist. So everybody stretch. Oh, nice twisting. Have you been working hard today? Let's twist out and... Okay, we're going to start out with our little activity doing the memorizing the bicentennial, parts of the bicentennial proclamation to the world on the Restoration. Boys and girls, when we do this activity, I want you to say aloud the words of the proclamation and put them with the activity at the same time. There's something that happens in the brain when you move your body in rhythm and you say words in rhythm while you move your body. So stand up if you're not already standing up. Get ready. We're going to be jumping rope and marching and doing some things with our hands. And the most important thing is to say it out loud while you do those things. Okay, here we go. 200 years ago, on a beautiful spring morning, Joseph Smith, seeking to know which church to join, went into the woods to pray in upstate New York. Second part is under direction of the Father and the Son, heavenly messengers came to instruct Joseph and reestablish the Church of Jesus Christ. Again, ready? Marching under direction of the Father and the Son, heavenly messengers came to instruct Joseph and reestablish the Church of Jesus Christ. Now we're going to add on to that. The next part goes like this. Joseph Smith was given, so we're going to actually, during that part, we're going to be marching. Joseph Smith was given, and then we're going to just do like a jumping jack. The gift and power of God. Okay, ready? Try that again. Joseph Smith was given the gift and power of God. Okay, and then it's to translate an ancient record. Let's put that together. Ready? And Joseph Smith was given the gift and power of God to translate an ancient record. Okay, now we have an opportunity to hear from our special guest. I'm going to let her introduce herself. So take it away, special guest.
Hello, American Heritage students. My name is Emma Hale Smith, and I am the wife of the prophet Joseph Smith, the man who brought forth the Book of Mormon and the restoration of the Church of Jesus Christ. Now, let me tell you a little bit about me. I was from a town called Harmony, Pennsylvania, which was several days' journey from Palmyra, where Joseph lived. And Joseph came to my area to have work, and that's how I met him. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my family. We were very rich, and my father did not like Joseph at all because he could tell we were starting to fall in love. And my father did not want me to marry Joseph because he was poor and because he was uneducated, which means that he didn't have enough schooling. My father wanted me to marry a smart, rich man, and he thought that since Joseph didn't have enough schooling and had no money, was not good enough for Emma. But we fell in love anyway. So you know what we did? We ran away and we got married. It's called elope. We ran away and we eloped. And then we had to live with Joseph's family in Palmyra.
Boys and girls, I just wanted to add a few things from the book called The Saints about Joseph and Emma. When Joseph met Emma, he was just a little bit younger than she was. He stood over 6 feet tall, and he looked like someone who was used to hard work. He had blue eyes and a light complexion, and he walked with a faint limp. His grammar was uneven, and he sometimes used too many words to express himself. but he displayed a natural intelligence when he spoke. Um, Emma enjoyed canoeing and riding horses, and Joseph didn't ride horses, but he was just excelled at wrestling and ball games. He was at ease around others and quick to smile, often telling jokes or humorous stories. Emma was more reserved, but she loved a good joke and could talk with anyone. She also liked to read and sing. Well, whenever Joseph wasn't at work, he was with Emma. And she was someone who could help him become the man the Lord needed him to be to carry out his work. Joseph loved, but there was more to Emma than just that. Joseph loved her, and Emma loved him. When Joseph proposed to her, she was a little bit surprised because her parents were not in favor of the marriage. But Emma considered the proposal. Marrying Joseph would disappoint her parents, but it was her choice, and she loved him. Now, next, Emma is going to tell us about when they got the plates. When Joseph got the plates, she was with him. And she's also going to tell us a little bit about that experience. One of the things I wanted to mention is that when Joseph was given the plates, Moroni reminded him to show the plates to no one except those whom the Lord appointed, promising him that the plates would be protected if he did all within his power to preserve them. You will have to be watchful and faithful to your trust, Moroni told him, or you will be overpowered by wicked men, for they will lay every plan and scheme that is possible to get them away from you. And if you do not take heed continually, they will succeed. So now Emma's going to tell us about some of the things that Joseph did to keep the plates safe and about getting the plates.
Every year on September 22nd, Joseph was told to go to the hill Cumorah, and that is where the angel Moroni showed him the golden plates that were buried in the earth. For 4 years he went there. Finally, after we were married, Joseph Smith received the golden plates. Now I was with him that night. I was waiting in the carriage. It was dark. I was scared. I was scared because there were lots of evil men that were trying to steal the plates from Joseph, because there was a rumor going around that Joseph had some gold, and the men wanted to steal the gold plates so they could sell them and make money off of them. So it was a very scary time. When we got home, Joseph knew he had to hide the plates because there were lots of bad men trying to fight him to get the plates, and we had to hide them in some pretty tricky places. One place he hid them was in a log. Another place he hid them was in the cooper shop. Now, the cooper shop is a place where they make barrels, wooden barrels, big wooden barrels. And when the mob came one night, they looked through the house and they didn't even think to look across the street at the cooper shop. So it was a good hiding place. Another hiding place was underneath the fireplace in the house. Joseph took each brick one by one, he pulled them up, he dug a hole, he buried the plates underneath the fireplace, and then he put all the bricks back. So when the mob came that particular night, they didn't think to dig up the ground. They didn't think to dig up the floor and look for the buried plates. But the most impressive one was one night the mob came and Joseph only had a few minutes to hide the plates. So what he did, he had two little sisters that were very young, and they were sleeping together in one small bed, just in a little room off the kitchen. So he told the girls, I'm going to wrap up the golden plates. I'm going to place them in between you while you're sleeping. And no matter what happens, no matter when the men come in, you pretend like that you're asleep so that they don't know that you have the golden plates. So the mob came, they came in the house, they ripped open drawers and they took apart all kinds of things. They ripped up floorboards to try to find where these plates were. And they peeked into the little room. It was a very small room, about maybe the size of a bathroom. They snuck in, they peeked at the girls sleeping. They never even bothered them. So they never even looked. It was brilliant. It was inspiration for Joseph to do that, because they looked everywhere else in the house and there was no other place he could have possibly hid the golden plates. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the translation of the Book of Mormon. Now, translation means you have something written in one language and you're going to translate it to a different language. The language that the Book of Mormon was written was called Reformed Egyptian. It was not in English, so no one could read it. Nobody knew Reformed Egyptian. In fact, the letters were even different. It didn't only sound different, but there was no alphabet like we know an alphabet. There was no letter A, letter B, letter C. It looked like squiggly lines, so nobody could tell what was written. Okay. So Joseph was only able to translate this through the help of Heavenly Father. Heavenly Father gave him a few tools that he could use, but most importantly, the biggest tool that he had was the gift of revelation. That meant that Joseph would look at the Reformed Egyptian and he would know exactly what word was written there. Now, I was his scribe. A scribe is someone that writes down everything that someone says. So Joseph would use his tools and he would look at the plates, and every word, he would tell me what the word was and I would write it down. Now, I wasn't the only scribe. I was just the first scribe. I got too busy because I had babies and I had to cook and I had to clean and I had to, weed the garden, all those things that all mothers have to do. So I couldn't be his scribe for very long. He had other scribes. He had a very good friend of the family named Martin Harris. Now, Martin Harris was a man who had a lot of money, and he sold his farm eventually so that Joseph had enough money to print the Book of Mormon. So Martin Harris was a very good friend. And another scribe that he had was a school teacher named Oliver Cowdery.
Students, I just want to tell you a little bit about Oliver Cowdery, who was a scribe for Joseph. He had proven himself a sincere seeker of truth. So he got to be the scribe for Joseph to write. And this is what he said, which I thought was just so beautiful. He said, "These were the days never to be forgotten, to sit under the sound of a voice dictated by the inspiration of heaven, awakened the utmost gratitude in this bosom. Day after day, I continued, uninterrupted, to write from his mouth as he translated the Book of Mormon."
The most amazing thing about the translation of the Book of Mormon was that Joseph would be in the middle of a story or the middle of a thought, the middle of a sentence, and he would stop because he couldn't spend all day translating. He had chores to do himself. He had to go repair things. He had to go work in the garden. He had to have meetings with people. So hours would go by before he could come. Sometimes days would go by when he couldn't translate. So he would come back and he would pick up right where he left off. Normally, if it were me or anybody else, if I spent days away from what I was translating, I would have to say, "Now, Emma, would you read to me what was the last thing I wrote? Because I can't remember what I was talking about." That would be me, but not Joseph. He had the gift of revelation. He would just pick up right where he left off. This marvelous work and a wonder came forth because Joseph was humble and he was willing to do what God asked him to do. And because of that, we have the Book of Mormon and we have the restoration of the Church of Jesus Christ in our day.
Oh, thank you so much, Emma, for being here.
You're very welcome.
For letting us feel a little bit of what happened in history that you got to be there for and witness and watch. And you knew the prophet Joseph better than anyone.
I did.
Yes. And anyway, thank you for being here. We're going to sign off and say goodbye. Have a great week. We'll see you next week with History with a Twist.
Goodbye.
Bye, guys.